Greetings and welcome to the channel. My name is Dr. Nanaji, Transformational Coach here at Inner Mileage Coaching, where we help folks understand the trauma-informed basis of limiting self-beliefs and how to take inspired action to live resonant lives right here, right now. So the focus today is on the empath's awakening, why you no longer recognize yourself. See, at some point on the path of awakening, the empath looks in the mirror and no longer recognizes their reflection or your reflection. And although that might feel confusing, it's actually confirmation, because you're no longer who you used to be, and that's exactly how it should be. And this is what happens when the false self, the unhealed self, dies and the sacred sovereign self begins to emerge. Today, I'm going to take you on a journey of remembrance and release. And this transition will cover many multidisciplinary perspectives designed to transform you. Welcome to the integration phase of your empath journey. So, your former identity was not your essence. It was a protective mechanism constructed through a lifetime of micro traumas, as well as big traumas, unspoken expectations, and energetic contracts made in desperation. Specifically, when you think about Polyvagal Theory, empaths operate predominantly in the ventral vagal state as a survival mechanism, constantly attuning to others' emotions, mainly to preempt conflict or to prevent abandonment. And Dr. Gabor Mate wrote that childhood emotional neglect leads to a split in identity, where the real self gets buried and the adaptive pleaser emerges. And kind of emotional suppression and people pleasing can be linked to chronic illness, anxiety, and disembodiment. Further, really deconstructing this even more, the Buddhist concept of anatta, which means no self, shows that who we think we are is actually a fluctuating process shaped by causes and conditions. Therefore, there isn't a fixed identity that makes me Nana or a fixed identity that makes you you. And even in some African cosmology, the shadow self is said to be the inherited mask we wear, something we must ritually release in order to meet ancestors. So the point is, empaths don't just feel more. Empaths have been conditioned to feel for others before feeling for themselves. And this isn't a gift until it's healed. What it actually is a survival skill masquerading as compassion. So the point is, the version of you that constantly sought validation wasn't the real you. It was a spell woven by trauma and held together by the guilt and repeated through unconscious resonance. So how do you make the shift, or what's the shift like from people pleasing to power? All right. The core truth here is spiritual awakening for an empath is not about feeling more love, although it is. It's about reclaiming the power you gave away in the name of love. For example, in transactional analysis done by Byrne, the empath shifts from the child role, which is always seeking permission, to the adult role, which is one of authentic authority. And then there's the Kaplan drama triangle, where by leaving the rescuer role, the empath collapses dysfunctional systems that rely on being a martyr, right? And then we also know that in quantum mechanics, the observer effect shows that changing the observer changes what's observed. And the awakened empath sees from a new energetic frequency, thereby collapsing all timelines. And then when you look at it from a spiritual systems perspective, particularly the hero's journey, a la Joseph Campbell, the empath must leave the village of self-denial and cross into the wild forest of ownership, right? And to pass into eternity, the soul must speak its truth without fear, not just pain. So the point here is empaths were programmed to please not because empaths are weak, but because their light was dangerous to systems built on hierarchy and control. So the key shift here is realizing that saying no can't be sacred. It can be. Losing people is proof that you are evolving. And conflict becomes feedback, right? It's how you know that things are aligning the right way. And therefore you don't view conflict as failure. So with this said, it's important to explore why and how this happens. Well, what's the discomfort of going through rebirth? And it's important to realize that the moment you stop pretending, you enter the void. And the void is a liminal space where your old identity dies, but the new one hasn't fully landed. This is where most empaths get scared and revert. And it's important that you don't. So the point is, rewiring your brain involves neurochemical withdrawal from your old emotional addiction, because that's what it is, according to Dr. Dispenza, especially the addiction to external validation, always looking and seeking and watching and gauging and being hypervigilant. And then when you go into neuroscience, Lisa Feldman's work, Dr. Feldman Barrett's work, what she found was that emotions are not reactions. They are not. What they are predictions. And when you stop behaving like the old you, your brain doesn't know how to predict safety and panic ensues. This is proven in various spiritual lineages, particularly in Christian mysticism, where there's the talk of the dark night of the soul, a la St. John of the Cross. Noting that the dark night of the soul, or this process of healing, is not depression, it's actually a process of purification and detoxification. Then when you come to the Hindu or yogic sciences, there's a whole notion of identity dissolution as part of realignment of your chakras, especially from sacral chakra approval to your solar plexus, which is a place of power. And it's important to realize that you begin to receive energetic backlash, not because you're wrong, but because the spell of your old frequency is breaking. And this is what makes you alone, but you're not lonely, you're being isolated for consecration. You're not confused, you're detoxed from false clarity. And you realize that your chrysalis, or the cocoon you're in, is not confinement, it is containment, while your soul restructures its own architecture. So when this happens, how do you begin to embody truth? Well, awakening is not just spiritual insight, although it is. It's a recalibration of your entire nervous system, a rewriting of the body's energetic code. And some things that enhance this and enhance your ability to embody this include somatic practices like vagal toning. So humming Om, or chanting, or cold plunges, or even taking a hot shower and then turning it on to cold at the end are ways to restore safety internally, not just through relationships. There's also somatic experience, which is trauma is not where it happened, it's where it's stuck. It's not just in the memory, it's stuck in the body. And moving emotions through the body reclaims time, power, and space. And of course, the Heart Math Institute has done research that shows that the heart sends a signal, electromagnetic signal, that's 5,000 times more powerful than the brain, making it the true seat of transformation for empaths. In other words, when you heal and forgive, you ascend faster. And this is consistent with the Buddhist Eightfold Path, mainly right view and right speech, which is really about no longer watering dead relationships or outdated identities. And you realize that the Hopi said it best, that we are who we've been waiting for, but only when we embody our true healing. So these are some things to make you realize that you're actually no longer who you used to be. And if this resonates, type transform in the comment section and realize that you're in the phase where you no longer beg for clarity, you sit in stillness. And your body becomes the true truth parameter. You accept being misunderstood because resonance matters more than reputation. And you stop seeking closure because you've become the door. If any of these resonate with you, type transform in the comment section and let us know how this is shifting you. Keep ascending and know there's absolutely no one like you. All the best.